go to the man in the middle here, Mr. Dave Meniketti of Y&T. Dave, how's this experience? Has this been your first cruise playing?
This is the second cruise, but it's the first one in the based out of the States. We did one in Finland, went down to Denmark and back, and that was kind of cool. But except that they had us slotted as a headliner, and we went on at 2:30 in the morning, and of course everybody was either completely passed out by then, or drunk that was still able to stand. And our biggest fans were Dawkins and Eric Martin were hanging up. They were still staying awake. And in fact, Eric Martin ended up crowd surfing onto the stage. He was blitzed. That's the best I remember about that cruise.
I know an answer to this because I saw it firsthand just last night as you were playing outdoor by the pool, but some of the challenges of playing a cruise and playing outside for you.
Right. Well, last night was, honestly, we've been in inclement weather before and played gigs, but this was probably one of the worst. It was like they brought out the big Hollywood, fans and just, 5 of them pointed straight at us. We probably were about 35, 40 mile an hour winds the whole time. Just, we're just like, hey, at least we still got okay, widow's peaks here. We're all right. But we were all eating our hair, and the sound it started to get towards us, and then it was blown back. It was just a nightmare, man. But you know what? And then the rain came down a bit. But the fans hung in there, and to me, those are kind of like classic gigs in a way. It's memorable. Like memorable. When the worst is at you, but you just keep chugging along, and everybody's getting into it anyway. So it's cool. Yeah.
Y&T's been playing for decades, and in a few different incarnations over the years. Right. You now are the sole original member of the band after the tragic passing of Phil Kennemore. Right. You have a great new addition in Phil's place. As I was telling you the other day, I've said it, and the audience has said it, that it's sad and tragic Phil's not with us anymore. Yeah. But you found a guy in Brad Lang that I don't think you could find a guy to fill that role any better. So talk about the lineup of the band now for Y&T.
Absolutely. Well, number one, the guy that's been with us for the longest period of time is John Nyman, and he's our guitar player, and he's actually been a friend of the band and sort of fan and friend, and helped us out over the years. He's sung background vocals on albums that we did in the 80s and so on and so forth when he wasn't officially in the band. So he's kind of been a fifth member that just wasn't on the stage. So when it was time to find another guitar player, he was just obviously the guy, and it was just one of those moments when it was like, oh, it's about time, and the fans took to him immediately, and it was great. And then we replaced Leonard version 2, because we brought him back with Mike Vanderhoel, who lives pretty close to me in the South Bay. And Mike is just a solid, kick-ass drummer that we can always depend on his meter, and he's just it's been great. And then of course, like you were talking about, Brad Lang. We were just starting a 7-week U.S. tour, and we were about a week and a half into it, and Phil was having problems with his back pain, incredible back pain, and I just got to give a shout out to my friend Tony La Russa from the Cardinals. We were coming close to St. Louis, and I called him on the phone and said, can we get your team doctors to check him out? And so we did. We sort of averted one of these gigs that we were going to go to and canceled it, and that's when he found out what was going on with him. And we got him on a plane the next day, and that day we were looking for bass players to do the rest of the tour. And of course we had like another 40 or 50 more shows still to come in Europe, and everything else coming in. It was just, we couldn't stop. We had just released a new record after, not releasing something for 13 years. So, and Phil was, right there saying, you got to go, man, you got to find somebody. So actually it was John and Mike had talked up Brad, and so I'd never seen him or heard of him before, and they showed me a video on YouTube, and I said, well, he seems like he's a good guy, man. I go, let's give it a shot. So my wife, who manages the band, she called him up on the phone. She goes, hi, this is Jill from Y&T. We have a problem out here, and he goes, yes, She didn't even finish, you know. And you know, I threw him out 25 songs because we play 2.5 hours every night, and
2.5 hours.
yeah,
wow.
and so he came in 2 days later, first show, not only had all the songs down on the bass, but he learned everybody's background vocal parts because he wasn't sure which was going to be his. Unbelievable.
And obviously, that's a huge key there,
Yeah.
because not only do you have to fill the void in playing, but that harmony and what you know, Phil singing with you was so important to the sound of Y&T. So that dynamic is really important.
Yeah, and it was a tough time. I mean, obviously, Phil was my best friend, and you know, to all of a sudden look to my left and see somebody else there instead of Phil, which you played my entire career in Y&T with, 37 years. So, you know, it was a weird thing, but oh my God, Brad came in and just nailed it the first
You look
night.
like you're 28 years old.
Oh,
man.
thanks, man. Just to add a few to that, but just the same. Yeah, no, but and it's been fantastic. This band, I mean, every incarnation of Y&T has had amazing players. I mean, I can't complain. Everybody has been fantastic. But I'd have to say that this band is probably, to me, my favorite band of the non-original band. And it just, I don't know, we just play so well together. Everybody follows each other like we've been playing for decades together, and it's just a great unit. And the most important thing, besides the fact that we feel good about it, is the fact that the fans love the band this way. There's no complaining of, hey man, where's Leonard? Hey man, what's that? You know what I mean? I mean, sure, there's those occasional things that happen like that, but 99% of the time it's like, wow, I think I've seen you 37 times, you know, this is like the best I've ever heard you. That kind of stuff happens every night. So,
Well, I got to say, as a fan, as a lifelong fan myself, I think you got to give yourself a huge part of the credit for that. Not only are the other three guys you have in there great, but you are there are very few guys that do this for decades like you have and still deliver exactly what they did in the beginning, vocally and playing wise, and it's remarkable. So you out front steering that ship is what really does.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And the last thing I got to ask you about this on that front is, you know, as a fan, I see so many bands who have been doing this 30, 40 years,
right,
and most of their singers lose a little something off of the voice. They lose a little power, they lose a little range, they lose some things. I mean, it's remarkable. How have you been able to maintain it?
I've been incredibly anal, as they say, about my voice ever since the beginning of the career. The main thing that I do every night is that I try to get 8 hours of sleep. You know, it's the sleep that makes the biggest difference for me. And I used to tell people that, you know, and people were like, oh, really? You know, and then I remember I saw Pavarotti on TV being interviewed, and they said, how do you do it, man? He goes, I get 8 hours of sleep. I said, all right, that's it, man.